So look at this question. Here they're saying that temperature at which the RMS speed of O2 is equal to that of neon at 300 Kelvin is going to be what? Right? So what is the first thing? First thing we know is that RMS speed is dependent on temperature. We know the formula for VRMS is equal to under root of 3 RT by M, right? So you know that R is a constant. R is the universal gas constant. So your temperature is a variable and your mass is a variable, right? Mass in the sense your molar mass of the given gas, right? So it root mean square velocity will change with respect to temperature and with respect to what is the molar mass of the gas that you are taking. Okay, this is how it changes. So if you have to take a ratio, what will you do? You will say VRMS is directly proportional to under root of T by M. Correct? They told you that VRMS of O2 is equal to VRMS of neon at various temperature, of course. So you need to write this relation. So this will be under root of, I want to take it to the next page actually. So we'll write it as under root of T by molar mass of oxygen is equal to under root of neon is at 300 Kelvin. So 300 Kelvin divided by molar mass of neon. Okay, write this, solve for T, that will be your answer. Let's get started. What is going to be the molar mass of oxygen? It's going to be 2 into 16, which is nothing but 32 gram per mole. Correct? So this is under root of T by 32 is equal to under root of 300 divided by what is the molar mass of neon? So molar mass of neon is nothing but 20 gram per mole. Right? Why? Because the atomic number of neon is 10. So this is going to be 20. Okay, I'm going to equate the magnitude under both of these square roots, which means T by 32 is equal to 300 by 20. So this and this will get cancelled. What else do we have? We'll cancel out this one, we'll cancel out into 16. So you have T is equal to 30 into 16, which is nothing but 16 3s are 48, so 480 Kelvin, right? 480 Kelvin is here in option B. So option B, 480 Kelvin is the temperature at which the RMS velocity of O2 becomes equal to the RMS velocity of neon at 300 Kelvin, which means option B is going to be the right answer to this question. Okay, so here we have a question from the chapter thermodynamics. This is saying find the work done when 2 moles of hydrogen gas expands isothermally from 15 liters to 50 liters against a constant pressure of 1 atm at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what sort of an expansion is it? So it is isothermal, obviously, because it is written so in the question. Is it isothermal reversible or is it isothermal irreversible? See, it's going to be isothermal irreversible. Okay, why? Because they're saying that it's working against a constant pressure of 1 atm. So this is going to be isothermal irreversible expansion. So what is going to be the formula of work done? Work done is going to be equal to minus P delta V. So you have pressure is 1 atm. Okay, 1 second. Pressure is 1 atm multiplied by delta V is going to be V final minus V initial. 50 minus 15. 50 minus 15 is going to be equal to 35. So 35 liters. So basically you have minus 35 liter atmosphere. But your answer is in calories. So how do you convert liter atmosphere to calories? See, so there is an equation. You can say that 1 liter atmosphere is equal to 24.222 if you want to be precise calories, right? So if you remember this, great. Otherwise, what you could do is you could convert this to joules and you could then convert that to calories. Okay, that is also one option. I feel like this is an easier thing to do because we are preparing for a competitive exam and such shortcuts are more useful for us, right? Okay, so now what will be the value of minus 35 liter atmosphere? This will be minus 35 into 24.22 calories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write 24.22 as approximately equal to 25. So minus 35 into 25, right? 25 is nothing but 100 by 4. So 100 by 4 calories. So I'll cancel this and I'll cancel this as 8.75. So I have minus 875 calories, or I can write it as minus 0.875 kilocalories. Whatever is in the options, depending on that, we'll mark our right answer. Okay, let's see. So I have minus 875 calories, or you can call it minus 0.875 kilocalories, right? Option A, 820.8 calories. Sounds close to what we have, except the sign is not the same. So I'm going to ignore option A. Option B, minus 848.2 calories. Yes, very close to what we have. I am going to consider this. Option C, 84.7 calories, 1/10 of what we got, and with the opposite sign, right? So I'm going to ignore this as well. Option D, minus 848.2 kilocalories, right? In kilocalories, we got minus 0.875. So that's also pretty far away. Hence, the right answer to this question is going to be option B, minus 848.2 calories. Alright, so this question is actually going to test how much command you actually have over the periodic table. Let's see. So it says, give the atomic number of the inert gas atom in which the total number of d electrons is equal to the difference in the number of total p and s electrons. Okay, so first thing is, this question is complicated. Okay, it's not as simple as you may think it is. So this, first of all, you need to know what are the inert gases, what are the atomic numbers, which one has how many d electrons, how many p electrons, how many s electrons. Basically, you need to know how to write down the electronic configuration, right? So once you know all of these things, then you can solve this question. So first, what I'll do is I'll write down what exactly my inert gases are. So I know that I have helium, neon, I have argon, I have krypton, I have xenon, I have radon, and I have oganesson. Now write down their atomic numbers next to them. So here you have 2, you have 10, you have 18, you have 36, 54, 86, and then you have 118. Look at your options. They're talking about atomic numbers 36, 18, 54, and 10. So I'm going to nicely remove helium, I'm going to remove radon, and I'm going to remove oganesson. So it's between neon, argon, krypton, and xenon, correct? So how do you proceed with this question? First thing is, basically they're saying that the number of d electrons is equal to number of p electrons minus s electrons. This is what we have to find out, okay? Only if you find out this relation to be true for any of them, then you can say that, okay, this is the right answer. So let's start with neon, okay? So in case of neon, what happens? You have 10 electrons, so you have 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, right? You have 10 electrons. Number of d electrons, 0. Number of s electrons, 4. Number of p electrons, 6. P minus s is equal to 2 and d is equal to 0. So number of d electrons is not equal to p minus s. Okay, this is how we'll solve for everything. Great. So neon is not the answer, which means 10 can be discarded. So option D can be discarded. Now we come to argon. Okay, so let's see. You have argon, which is atomic number 18. So you have 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Correct? This is your argon. Now see, number of d electrons still 0. Number of s electrons is going to be 6. Number of p electrons is going to be 12. So p minus s is equal to 6, and this is not equal to the number of d electrons. Hence, I am also going to ignore argon. Okay, so argon is also kicked out. Now we have krypton. Let's see. Krypton is 36, correct? So when you write down the full electronic configuration, you get 1s2, 2s2. One second. Yes, cool. So you have 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10, 4s2, 4p6. Correct? You have this. Now, the number of d electrons is going to be 10. Number of s electrons is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. Right? Number of p electrons is going to be 6 and 12 and 18. So, P electrons minus S electrons is going to be what? 18 minus 8, which is equal to 10. And yes, that is equal to the number of D electrons, which means here we have satisfied the relation that the number of D electrons is equal to the number of P electrons minus number of S electrons, which means option A, 36, is going to be the right answer to this question. See, it's not going to satisfy for xenon. You can calculate if you like, but it's not going to satisfy. So the right answer to this question is going to be option A, 36, that is krypton. Alright, so here you have a reaction. In the reaction, H2O, that is steam, plus carbon gives you carbon monoxide plus H2. Which of the following is true? And when you look at the options, they're talking about what is the reducing agent, what is the oxidizing agent, and all of that, right? So let's see. Okay, so you can see that here you don't even need to go to the idea of oxidation states to understand whether this is a redox reaction or not. This is very simple. You can understand this even with the help of the classical concept. Basically, you can see that here you have carbon, right? Before the reaction, you have carbon. After the reaction, you have carbon, and that oxygen has been added onto the carbon, which means what? Which means carbon got oxidized. Carbon got oxidized, and carbon is the reducing agent, right? Because whatever gets oxidized is the reducing agent. Now, similarly, when you look at H2O, here you had oxygen on it, and after the reaction you lost the oxygen. So you lost oxygen, that is the definition of reduction. Removal of oxygen atoms is reduction, and whatever undergoes reduction itself is the oxidizing agent, right? So this is the oxidizing agent, okay? Correct. So this is the oxidizing agent, fine. And is this a redox reaction? Yes, absolutely. If you don't believe me, you can take a moment and you can calculate the oxidation states. You can see that there is positively a change in oxidation state. There is simultaneous reduction and oxidation happening in this reaction, which means this is a redox reaction. Yes. Now, let's look at the options. So option A says H2O is the reducing agent. No, we say it is the oxidizing agent. Option B, H2O is the oxidizing agent. Yes, absolutely. Option C, carbon is the oxidizing agent. No, carbon is the reducing agent. Option D, it is not a redox reaction. That's not correct. Okay, it is a redox reaction. We all agree to it. So, option B, H2O is the oxidizing agent, is going to be the right answer to this question. Okay, so here they're saying for 109% labeled oleum, if the number of moles of H2SO4 and free SO3 are X and Y respectively, then what will be the value of X plus Y divided by X minus Y? Okay, so first of all, what is oleum? Oleum is a fuming mixture of concentrated H2SO4 plus free SO3, right? You have some SO3. So basically what happens, you have this free SO3, you add water to it and you get more H2SO4. So oleum is super concentrated H2SO4 basically, and it exists at 109% label. Okay, what does 109% mean? Whatever you have more than 100, right? So basically this 9% is indicating that if you add 9 grams of water to this oleum, you will get stoichiometric amount of H2SO4. Okay, that is what this is indicating. Understood? So that's what we have here, and we already know this, right? So they're saying that amount of H2SO4 in moles is X, free SO3 is going to be Y. Okay, you have to find out X plus Y divided by X minus Y. So first we have to find out X and Y, right? Let's get started. See, you have 109% oleum, which means you have a reaction SO3 plus H2O gives you H2SO4. This is the fundamental idea behind being able to obtain 109 grams of H2SO4 from 100 grams of oleum, okay, by adding water. So what is happening here is that you have 9 grams of H2O. This much they have told you by telling you the percentage. Okay, so 9 grams of H2O corresponds to how many moles? You know that this corresponds to 0.5 moles. Okay, so if 0.5 moles of water is being stoichiometrically used to give you H2SO4, which means you have 0.5 moles of free SO3 in the oleum mixture. Yes. Okay. Now, how many grams is that going to be? That you need to find out. Okay, so you find out the molar mass of SO3 first. It's going to be S plus 3 into molar mass of oxygen. What is the molar mass of sulfur? 32 gram per mole. Plus 3 into 16 gram. This is not 3 into 0. Okay, be very careful. It's 3 into 16. So you have 32 plus 48, which is nothing but 80 gram per mole. This is the molar mass of SO3. So here you have 0.5 moles, which means it corresponds to what? Half of 80, that is 40 grams. So mass of or weight of free SO3. Free SO3 is going to be 40 grams. Okay. And you had, let's say, 100 grams. My basis is 100 grams. Okay. So out of 100 grams, 40 grams is SO3, which means mass of H2SO4, sulfuric acid, is going to be 60 grams. Correct? Here, from here, you have to find out the number of moles of H2SO4. This we already know. Number of moles of SO3 came out to be 0.5 because we found that out long back, right? Okay. So this is your Y. Basically, you have to find out X. So X is going to be 60 divided by molar mass of, this is not equal, this is number of moles of H2SO4, or you can write it as X. 60 divided by molar mass of H2SO4, sulfuric acid, what is it going to be? Very quickly, 98, right? 98 gram per mole, absolutely correct. So you have 60 by 98. How do you want to solve this? See, I would suggest we take some approximations and try to get as close to the answer as possible. So we'll do 60 by 98. Let's say I approximate this 98 to 99. Okay. So then what will I get? I will get, or you can directly approximate this to 100. Not a problem. You'll get a very minor change. So this will come out to be 0.6 moles. So basically your X is 0.6 and your Y is 0.5. Correct? This is what we're getting. Now, let's see. We have X plus Y divided by X minus Y. This is the value we have to find out. X is 0.6 plus 0.5 divided by 0.6 minus 0.5. Okay, so this is basically 1.1 divided by 0.1. That is nothing but 11 by 1, which is nothing but 11. Sorry, not 10, 11. Right? But you have to keep in mind that we did make approximations. So 11 exactly, I don't think you will find in your options. Whatever is the closest, we'll pick that. So we got 11 as the value. And your options are 1, which is way off. You have 18, which is much greater. We did not approximate this much, so I'm going to ignore it. You have 1 by 3, which is again like the least possible. So this is pretty far off. Then you have option D, 9.9. Okay. So this I'm willing to accept because I know how much approximation I made. Accordingly, 9.9, yes, perfectly acceptable. Hence, option D, 9.9 is going to be the right answer to this question.